Yeah, in the last class, we have started the third module. In that, we have studied the introduction to LTE and design principles of LTE. So today we are going to study that is network architecture or end-to-end architecture. So here, coming to the first one, that is the design principle, that is network architecture. So this is the figure which represents the end-to-end network architecture of LTE with the various components of the network. So now here you can see the figure. It has the entire network is composed of radio access network, which we can it has UTRN and the core network, which is EPC. So here both of which have been defined as a new components of the end-to-end network in release 8 of 3GPP specification. So that means the LTE is different from the original UMTS, since we know that UMTS is defined for a new radio access network, but it is used the same core network as the previous generation. That is edge technology. So that is enhanced GPRS. So the main components which we have in EUTRN and EPCR. So the first one is we have here you can see, that is user terminal, user equipment. So here the user equipment is a mobile terminal. So the next one what we have is the next layer after, that is E node B. So that we know it is enhanced evolved node B. So it is called as a base station. It is also called as the base station. So here the E node B terminates the air interface protocol, and in the first point of contact for the UE, that is user equipment. So here the E node B is the only logical node in the EUTRAN. So it includes the some functions which are previously defined in the RNC of the UTRAN. So the functions are radio bearer management, uplink and downlink dynamic radio resource management, data packet scheduling, and mobility management. So when we see these functions, it will not supposed to be there in terms of node B in the case of UMTS. So the next component what we have is MME, that is mobility management entity. So here MME is similar in function to the control plane of legacy services. Legacy serving GPRS support node, that is SGSN. So here it manages the mobility aspects in the 3GPP access such as gateway selection and tracking area, list management. So the next component we have is serving gateway, that is serving GW. So here the serving gateway terminates the interface towards EUTRN. It terminates the interface towards EUTRN and routes the data packet between EUTRN and EPC. So it will route the data packets between the EUTRN and EPC. So here in addition it is a local mobility anchor point for inter E node B. So which handovers and also provides a anchor for inter 3GPP mobility. So here some of the other responsibility of SDW include the lawful intercept, charging, and some policy enforcement. So here the serving gateway and MME may be implemented in one physical node or separate physical nodes. So next we have PDN GW, that is packet data network gateway. So here the PDN GW terminates the SGI interface towards the packet data network. So it will terminate the SGI interface towards the packet data network. So it routes the data packet between the EPC and the external PDN, and it is the key node for the policy enforcement and charging data collection. So it also provides the anchor point for mobility with the non-3GPP access. Here the external PDN can be any kind of IP network as well as the IP multimedia subsystem, that is IMS domain. So here the PDN gateway and serving gateway may be implemented in one physical node as or a separate physical node. So next we have is that is S1 interface. So here the S1 interface is the interface that separates the EUTRN and the EPC. So it is split into two parts, that is S1U, which carries the traffic data between the E node. Here you can observe that is S1U, which carries the traffic data between the E node B and the serving gateway, E node B and the serving gateway. And S1 MME, here you can observe this line S1 MME. So here S1 MME, which is signaling only interface between the E node B and the MME. So next component we have is X2 interface. So here the X2 interface is the interface between the E node Bs, which consists of two parts. That is X2C. So here X2C is the control panel interface between E node Bs, while the XTU is the user plane interface between the E node Bs. So here it is assumed that there always exists and X2 interface between E node Bs that need to communicate with each other. For example, for the support of handover. So here the specific functions supported by each component and the details about the reference points, that is S1 MME and S1U, S3, etc. can be found. So here for the other nodes in this figure, the policy and charging rules function, that is a PCRF. For the other nodes in this figure, the policy and charging rules function, that is PCRF, is for policy and charging control. So here the home subscriber server, that is HSS, is responsible for the service authorization and user authentication. So and the serving GPRS support node, that is SGSN. Here SGSN is for controlling packet sessions and managing the mobility of the user equipment for the GPRS networks. So this is about the network architecture and network architecture. So next we have radio interface protocols. So here as in the other communication standards, here the LTE radio interface is designed based on the layered protocol stack. So here which can be divided into which can be divided into control panel and user control plane and user plane protocol stacks as shown in this figure. You can observe this is the control plane and user plane. So here the LTE radio interface protocol is composed of the following layers. First one is RRC, and next we have PDCP, and next RLC, following with the MAC and that is a physical layer. So here RRC is the radio resource control. So here the radio resource control layers performs the control plane functions including paging, maintenance and release of an RRC connection, security, handling mobility management, and quality of service management. So here the main functions of the radio resource control is which performs the control plane functions including the paging, maintenance and release of an RRC, connection, security, handling, mobility management, and quality of services management. So next layer we have is PDCP, that is packet data convergence protocol. So here the main functions of the packet data convergence protocol. So PDCP sublayer includes the IP packet header compression, so which includes the IP packet header compression and decomposition based on the robust header compression, that is ROHC protocol. Ciphering of data and signaling and integrity protection for signaling. So here the main functions of this PDCP sublayer includes the IP packet header compression and decompression based on the robust header compression, that is ROHC protocol, ciphering of data and signaling, and integrity protection for signaling. So here there is only one PDCP entity at the eNode B and the user equipment per bearer. So here only one PDCP entity is available in eNode B and at the user equipment per one bearer. So next layer we have is RLC, that is radio link control. So here the main function of this radio link control sublayer are segmentation and concatenation of data units, error correction through the automatic repeat request, that is ARQ protocol, and in sequence delivery of packets to the higher layers. So here the main functions of this radio link control are segmentation and concatenation of data units, error correction through and through the automatic repeat request, that is ARQ protocol, and in sequence delivery of packets to the higher layers. So here this layer mainly operates in three modes, that is TM mode, EM mode and AM mode. So here TM mode is the transparent mode. So here the transparent mode is the simplest one. So here the transparent mode is the simplest one without RLC header addition, data segmentation or concatenation, and it is used for the specific purpose such as random access. So next mode we have is the acknowledged mode. So here in the acknowledged mode, which allows the detection of packet loss and provides the packet reordering and reassembly, but does not require the retransmission of the missing protocol data units, that is PDUs. So here the EM mode allows the detection of packet loss and provides the packet reordering and reassembling, but does not require the retransmission of the missing protocol data units. So next mode is the acknowledged mode. So here the AM mode is the most complex one, and it is configured to request a retransmission of the missing PDUs, that is protocol data units, in addition to the features supported by the EM mode. So there is only one RLC entity at the eNode B and the user equipment per bearer. So next we have is a MAC layer, that is a medium access control. So here the main functions of the MAC sublayer includes the error correction through the HARQ, that is hybrid ARQ mechanism. So mapping between the logical channels and transport channels, so which performs multiplexing and demultiplexing of RLC PDUs onto the transport blocks. So which has priority handling between the logical channels of one user equipment and the priority handling between the user equipments by means of dynamic scheduling. So here the dynamic scheduling is a technique in which the hardware rearranges the instruction execution to reduce the stalls while maintaining the data flow and the exception behavior. So here the MAC sublayer is also responsible for transport format selection of scheduled user equipments, so which are going to include the selection of modulation format, code rate, memo rank, and the power level. So here there is only one MAC entity at the eNode B and one MAC entity at the user equipment. next we have is PHY, that is a physical layer. So here the main function of the physical layer is the actual transmission and reception of data in the forms of transport blocks. So here the physical layer, main function of the physical layer is the actual transmission and reception of the data in the forms of transport blocks. So here the physical layer is also responsible for the various control mechanisms such as signaling of HARQ feedback, signaling of scheduled allocations, and the channel measurements. So this is about the radio interface protocols. So is there any doubts regarding radio interface protocols and end-to-end network architecture? Anyone? Everyone understood? ಅರ್ಥ ಆಗ್ಲಿಲ್ಲ. So next topic is hierarchical channel structure of LTE. So here to efficiently support the various that is quality of service classes for classes of services. So here LTE is going to adapt a hierarchical channel structure. So here in the hierarchical channel structure of LTE, there are three different channel types which are defined in LTE. So the first one is logical channels, second one is transport channels, and the third one is physical channels. So here in the hierarchical channel structure of LTE, each channel is associated with a service access points, that is SAP, between the different layers. So here these channels are used by the lower layers of the protocol stack to provide services to the higher layers. So here these channels are used by the lower channels of the protocol stack to provide services to the higher layers. So here the radio interface protocol architecture and the service access points between the different layers are shown in this figure. So make a note of this figure. So here the logical channels provide services at the SAP between MAC and RLC layers. So here logical channels provide the service at the SAP between, that is service access point between MAC and RLC layers. It provides the service between RLC layer and MAC layer. So while the transport channel provides the services at SAP between MAC and physical layer. So here the transport channel provides the services at the service access point between MAC layer and physical layer. So here the physical channels are the actual implementation of transport channels over the radio interface. So here the physical channels are the actual implementation of the transport channels over the radio interface. So here the channels are defined in LTE, follow a similar hierarchical structure of UTRA and HSPA. So however, in the case of LTE, so here the transport and logical channel structures are much more simplified and fewer in numbered compared to UTRA and HSPA. So here, unlike the UTRA and HSPA, the LTE is based entirely on shared and broadcast channels, which consists no dedicated channels carrying the data to specific user interfaces or user equipments. So which improves the efficiency of the radio interface and can support the dynamic resource allocation between the different user equipments depending on their traffic or quality of service requirements and their respective channel conditions. So here which improves the efficiency of the radio interface and can support the dynamic resource allocation between the different user equipments depending on their traffic or quality of service requirements and their respective channel conditions. So in this section we are going to describe in the detail the various logical, transport and physical channels that are defined in the LTE. So here the description of the different channel types and the channel mapping between the different protocol layers provides an intuitive manner to understand the data flow of the different services in the LTE, which are going to build the foundation to understand the detailed processing procedures of the LTE. So here the logical channels. So here the logical channels we have what to transmit. So here the logical channels are used by the MAC to provide the services to the RLC. So here each logical channel is defined based on the type of information it carries. So here in the LTE there are two categories of logical channels depending on the service they provide. So there are two categories of the logical channels depending on the service they are going to provide. So first one is the logical control channels and logical traffic channels. One is control channel and the traffic channels. So here the logical control channels which are used to transfer control plane information, which include the following types. So the logical control channels are used to transfer the control plane informations, which have some of the types. First one is BCCH and second one is MCCH, and next we have PCCH, CCCH and DCCH. So here BCCH stands for broadcast control channel. So here a downlink common channel used to broadcast system control information to the mobile terminals in the cell. So which includes the downlink system bandwidth, antenna configuration and reference signal power. So here due to the large amount of information carried on the BCCH channel, so it is mapped to the two different transport channels, that is the broadcast channel, that is BCH, and downlink shared channel, that is DLSCH. So next we have multicast control channel, that is MCCH. So here MCCH is a point to multi-point downlink channel used for transmitting control information to the user equipments in the cell. So here it is only used by user equipments, the receiver, multicast and broadcast services. So next one we have is paging control channel, that is PCCH. So in the PCCH channel, a downlink channel that refers paging information to registered user equipments in the cell. So here for the example, in case of the mobile terminated communication session. So next we have is a common control channel, that is CCCH. So here a bidirectional channel for transmitting control information between the network and the user equipments when no RRC connection is available, implying the user equipment is not attached to the network, such as in the idle state. So here the most commonly the CCH is used during the random access procedure. So next we have a dedicated control channel, that is DCCH. So here a point to point, a bidirectional channel that transmits dedicated control information between the user equipment and the network. So here this channel is used when the RRC connection is available, that is the user equipment is attached to the network. So here the logical traffic channels which are used to transfer user plane information includes that is a dedicated traffic channel, that is DTCH. So here DTCH channel is a point-to-point bidirectional channel used between a given user equipment and network. So here it can exist in both the uplink and downlink. So next we have is a multicast traffic channel, that is MTCH. So it is a unidirectional point to multi-point data channel which transmits the traffic data from the network to the user equipments. So here it is associated with multicast or broadcast services. So this is about the logical channels. So next we have transport channels. So transport channel, that is how to transmit. So here the transport channels are used by the physical layer to offer services to the MAC. So the transport channels are used by the physical layer which are going to offer the services to the MAC. So here the transport layer is basically characterized by how and with what characteristics the data is transferred over the radio interface, that is the channel coding scheme, the modulation scheme, and antenna mapping. So it is the transport channel is basically characterized by how and with what characteristics the data is going to be transferred over the radio interfaces, that is the channel coding scheme and modulation scheme and the antenna mapping. So here compared to the UTRA and HSPA, so here the number of transport channels in LTE is reduced because there is no dedicated channels are present in the channel. So here the LTE defines two MAC entities. One is the user equipment and one is the EUTRN, which handle the following downlink and the uplink transport channels. So here in the downlink transport channels, we have DLSCH, that is the downlink shared channel, broadcast channel, that is BCH. We have multicast channel, that is MCH, and last we have paging channel, that is PCH in the downlink transport channel. So these are the four layers which we have in the downlink transport channel. So here first we have DLSCH, that is a downlink shared channel. So here it is used for transmitting the downlink data, including both the control and the traffic data, and thus it is associated with both the logical control and logical traffic channels. So here the DLSCH supports HARQ dynamic link adaptation, dynamic and semi-persistence resource allocation, user equipment discontinuous reception, and multicast or broadcast transmission. So here the concept of the shared channel transmission originates from the HSDPA, which uses the high-speed downlink shared channel, that is HSDSCH, to multiplex the traffic and control information among different user interfaces. So here in the DLSCH, by sharing the radio resource among different user equipments, the DLSCH, that is the downlink shared channel, is able to maximize the throughput by allocating the resources to the optimum user equipments. So next channel we have is broadcast channel, that is BCH. So here a downlink channel which is associated with BCCH logical channels, and it is used to broadcast system information over the entire coverage area of the cell. So here it has a fixed transport format defined by the specifications. So next channel we have is multicast channel. So in the multicast channel, it is associated with MCCH and MTCH logical channels for the multicast or broadcast service. So it provides the multicast or broadcast single frequency network, that is MBSFN transmission. So which transmits the same information on the same radio resource for multiple synchronized base stations to the multiple user equipments. So here MCH supports the multicast and broadcast single frequency network transmission, which transmits the same information on the same radio resource from the multiple synchronized base stations to the multiple user equipments. So last one is paging channel, so which is associated with the PCCH logical channel. So here it is mapped to dynamically allocated physical resources, and it is required for broadcast over the entire cell coverage area. So and it is transmitted on the physical downlink shared channel, that is PDSCH, and supports the user equipment discontinuous reception. So these are the four downlink transport channels. So next we have uplink transport channels. So in the uplink transport channels, we have uplink shared channels, that is ULACH, random access channel, that is RACH, downlink control information, that is DCI, control format indicator, that is CFI, and HARQ indicator, and last we have uplink control information. So in the uplink shared channel, that is ULSCH. So here the uplink counterpart of the DLSCH. So here it can be associated to CCH, DCCH and DTCH logical channels. So which supports the HARQ dynamic link adaptation and dynamic and semi-persistent resource allocation. So next we have a random access channel, that is RACH. So here a specific transport channel that is not mapped to any logical channel. So here it transmits relatively small amount of data for the initial access, or in the case of RRC, state channels. So here the data on the each transport channel is organized into transport blocks, and the transmission time of each transport block, so also called as a transmission time interval, that is TTI. So the transmission time interval is 1 millisecond in the LTE. So here TTI is also the minimum interval for link adaptation and the scheduling decision. So here without spatial multiplexing, at most one transport block is transmitted to the user equipment in the each TTI channel. So here with spatial multiplexing, up to 2 transport blocks can be transmitted in the each TTI to the user equipment. So here beside the transport channels, there are different types of control information which are defined in the MAC layer. So which are the important for various physical layer procedures. So the defined control information, which includes there is a downlink control information, that is DCI. So which carries the information related to the downlink or uplink scheduling assignment, modulation and the coding scheme. So here the transmit power control command and the is sent over the physical downlink control channel, that is PDCCH. So next we have a control format indicator, that is CFI. So it indicates how many symbols of the DCI spans in that subframe. So it takes the values, that is CFI is equal to 1, 2, or 3, and is sent over the physical control format indicator channel, that is PCFICH. So next we have a HARQ indicator, that is it carries the HARQ acknowledgement in response of uplink transmissions, and is sent over the physical hybrid ARQ indicator channel, that is HI is equal to 1 for the positive acknowledgement and HI is equal to 0 for the negative acknowledgement. So last one we have is uplink control information. So here it is for measurement indication on the downlink transmission, scheduling request of uplink, and the HARQ acknowledgement of downlink transmissions. So this is about the transport channels. So next we have physical channels that will continue in the next class. Any doubts regarding today's class? Everyone understood?